Welcome to Addicted to My Economics. My name's Abby, and me and my friends Harper and Kaley are going to teach you a little bit about monetary policy and the Fed.
Hey Kaley.
Oh hey,
Have you heard what's going on in the Federal Reserve?
what's the Federal Reserve?
Well, my friend Abby here is here to tell you all about it.
The Federal Reserve, you ask? Well, why didn't you ask sooner? It can also be called the Fed and can be simply defined as the Central Bank of the United States. It serves a very important purpose, such as creating and carrying out monetary policy, which we'll get into later. Also, reviewing financial efficiency, protecting consumers, and avoiding risk by promoting stability to the economy. They monitor not only economic effects on us, but also other countries. Before getting more in depth with the Fed, you need to know what monetary policy is. Harper, do you want to tell us a little bit about monetary policy?
Hey guys, monetary policy is the action taken by the Fed to promote financial and economic stability through maintaining high employment, consistent long-term interest rates, and stable prices. Monetary policy is conducted based on the availability and supply of money, along with the rate of interest.
The Fed is actually composed of four major parts. First, the Board of Governors,
The Federal Open Market Committee,
or the FOMC,
the Federal Reserve Banks,
and last,
but not least, banks!
all of which play a part in conducting monetary policy.
So,
What's the Board of Governors?
wouldn't you like to know?
In me.
The Board of Governors is responsible for the aspects like discount rates and reserve requirements, and they're also the chief governing body of the Fed. So Kaley, do you know anything about the FOMC?
Do I look like...
Harper's gonna tell you.
The FOMC is made up of 7 board members and 5 bank presidents. They set monetary policy to ensure economic stability. What do you know about the reserve banks?
Reserve banks?
Well, Abby can tell you all about those.
Abby.
There are 12 reserve banks who supervise the financial aspect. They monitor spending, act as lenders, and provide payment systems to the U.S. You've got to know about banks.
Of course, it's where you put your money. So they're below reserve banks?
You've got it. They're commercial banks. A commercial bank is a bank that offers services to the general public and to companies.
So what does all this have to do with monetary policy?
Monetary policy is created by the FOMC, and it measures inflation and economic growth. Inflation is an increase in prices with a decrease in the value of money.
Fiscal policy plays a huge role in constructing monetary policy. Fiscal policy is the government's decision on how to improve the economy based on spending and the way we tax. Many economic decisions are involved with fiscal policy, like the purchase of goods and services, taxes, and payments. You'd think the Fed would control and monitor fiscal policy, but it's actually made by Congress. Along with fiscal and monetary policy comes the federal budget, which is the amount of money the government expects to receive and maintain for a year.
A new budget is actually made every year. A fiscal year is October 1st through November 30th. The government spending greatly affects the economy's output. Output can be defined as the quantity of goods or services produced in a given period. Expansionary policy is an attempt to increase the output of a country. Expansionary policy would be used during a time of recession or contraction. A recession is a time of very slow economic growth. During a time of recession, expansionary policy could be used in 2 ways: by decreasing taxes or increasing spending. Decreasing taxes is typically favored by Republicans, and it gives people more money to spend, which creates more demand, which creates more production, which creates more jobs, which again creates more demand, and it's just kind of a continuous cycle. This satisfies Republicans because they get to choose how they spend the money that they earn.
That's really cool,
Isn't it? But there's actually an alternative.
It would be to increase spending, which ultimately has the same effect. It's favored by Democrats because it gives more opportunity for money to be redirected to the poor. So we just talked about times of contraction, but there are also times of expansion where the economic side of things is thriving. During this time, we use something called contractionary policy. Governments can use contractionary policy by decreasing their spending, which equals less spending money, which equals less demand and lower inflation. They can also increase taxes. This policy is undesirable by everyone. Lowering inflation is a long-term goal of the Fed.
I hope you learned a little bit more about monetary policy and the Fed, and thank you for watching Addicted to My Economics.
I'm addicted to it. Give me some.
Going on in the Federal Reserve rate? Like,
Can also be. Wait, I messed that up already.
my friend.
Oh, freaking.
What is the board of
Gosh!
Oops.
FOMC is made up of. Wait. I think presidents they set monetary policy. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Wait, is this?
Okay. We're gonna. No, not all the way.
Driving. And then, and during. talked about contractionary.
No, we didn't.
But lowering inflation is.